Good evening. By grace we are gathered, and by grace we are supplied. Let us rest the mind on that simple confession, for it is the truth behind every good that has ever come to us. Not our cleverness, not our hustle, not the bent of our back, nor the burn of our midnight oil, but grace. By grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God. If that is so in salvation, it is so in supply. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not because my employer is generous, not because the market smiles today, but because a presence that precedes conditions goes before me to prepare a table, even in the presence of my enemy's fear, shortage, deadlines. I speak plainly and without embroidery. Your job is not your source. Your clients, your followers, your contract, your platform, these are not your source. They are channels that appear, change, and vanish. Supply is not a wage extracted by effort. Supply is the sufficiency of grace, sensed inwardly and expressed through right, peaceful action. There is only one power. We do not attribute to capital. We do not attribute to capital. This is not taking sides. The one power does not belong to management or to labor, to entrepreneur or to employee. All causative efficacy is within the invisible, that we may call God, Spirit, the Father within. External arrangements are effects. They are not power. Now, I am not dangling gilded promises before anxious hearts. I am not speaking of riches for spectacle, but of sufficiency for life. Sufficiency without strain, peace without denial. And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. Hear the order. Grace, sufficiency, good work, not toil, terror, and then a crumb. Grace first. Then what is needful. Then the work that flows unforced. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the Spirit. This is the pivot I ask you to make in this hour. From action born of fear to action born of silence. From anxious calculation to inner listening. From clutching at channels to abiding in source. You will still act. You will still send the proposal, take the meeting, open the shop at dawn. But you will do it from stillness, not from panic. And that difference is everything. Because fear is not a power. It is a universal suggestion. A wind that howls but cannot enter unless we open the door. So we begin here, together, with a benediction that is also a vow. We withdraw our consent from the wage god, and we entrust our affairs to the one. We choose the yoke that is easy and the burden that is light, not because we evade responsibility, but because we accept the government upon his shoulder. In that acceptance, relief begins to trickle into the mind. Breathe it. Abide in it. Supply is received by grace, not earned by strain. And from this moment, we will let our actions rise from that holy quiet and watch how the invisible finds its way into the visible rightly, peacefully, and on time. Look around at the world's sprint, the alarms at 5, the dashboards glowing before dawn, caffeine as sacrament, comparison as liturgy. We count steps, clicks, conversions. We post, we check, we refresh. We buy planners that promise to buy back our souls and apps that vow to organize our anxieties. Charts go up, spirits go down, and we call the strain a virtue. We label fatigue drive. We baptize anxiety as hustle, and we rehearse the catechism of scarcity. If I stop, I'll sink. If I pause, I'll be past. If I rest, I'll lose my place. Hear me. Fear grips the world. Fear, fear, fear from the cubicle to the corner office, from the gig driver to the board chair. And fear is cunning. It puts on the garments of diligence and ambition, and we bow before it as if it were prudence. But fear is not prudence. Fear is not wisdom. Fear is a universal mesmerism, an atmosphere of suggestion, not a person, not your personal failure. Do not own it. Do not baptize it with your name. It is not your fear. It is the world's hypnotism. And its only force is the force you lend it. Withdraw that force, and the giant shrinks to smoke. I do not scold the early riser. I will never shame the faithful laborer who shows up and does a good day's work. Skill is beautiful. Excellence is holy. But let us separate the holy from the counterfeit. Diligence, yes. Dread, no. Planning, yes. Panic, no. Focus, yes. Frenzy, no. Take no thought for your life, said the Master. And I don't mean irresponsibility. I do not mean neglect. I mean take no anxious thought. Refuse the internal bargaining that seeks to buy tomorrow with today's distress. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Not one. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, not in the clench of the jaw or the grind of the teeth. There is only one power, not the algorithm, not the market mood, not the human will thrashing itself into exhaustion. Fear is not a power. It is an echo. It shouts, but it cannot strike. It suggests, but it cannot compel. So smile at the stopwatch. Bless the calendar. They are instruments, not masters. Pause. Be still and know that I am God. Breathe the name that cannot be printed on a spreadsheet. In that holy instant, you have taken back the scepter from the wage god, and the tyrant has no throne left to sit upon. We do not fight fear with bigger hustle. We starve it by withdrawing consent. We do not argue with it. We turn to the presence and let fear find no listener. And having unmasked the masquerade, we may now point to the real source. Not a schedule, not a superior, not a sales funnel, but the invisible that makes all things well. From here, we turn from the world's sprint to the one power and let grace, not grind, govern our steps. There is only one power. Let that sentence settle into you like a stone into still water, and watch the rings of it reach every shore of your affairs. There is only one power, neither market moods nor media cycles, neither bosses nor buyers, neither praise nor blame. All causation is within. Externals are effects. The figures on the invoice, the email that arrives, the contract that renews. These are fruit. They are not the root. The root is the invisible that the heart knows as presence, as the Father within, as the I that is life itself. He hangeth the earth on nothing, and he hangeth your security on nothing visible. This is not poetry. This is causation. Your job is a channel. The economy is a channel. A client is a channel. Instruments are many. Power is one. Channels open and shut, widen and narrow, appear and disappear. but the wellspring is not in them. Do not confuse the pipe with the water. Do not worship the wage god, the belief that pressure upon matter produces life. It does not. Man shall not live by bread alone, nor by brand alone, nor by budget alone, but by every word of the living spirit that proceeds within and reveals itself as right, peaceful action. Here is the antithesis that must be made clear in consciousness. Spiritual causation, not material pressure. Grace as sufficiency, not wage as ultimacy. We are not making saints of spreadsheets or villains of paychecks. We are saying, softly but firmly, that cause is not out there. Withdraw the borrowed authority from things. Return it to the one. Say within yourself, quietly, steadily, repeatedly, God's grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not in some things, housing, yes, healthcare, no. All things. Every good and perfect gift is from above, and it comes without sorrow added when it springs from the center instead of being squeezed from the circumference. If I hadn't witnessed this, I couldn't speak so confidently. But I have seen it, homes held through downturns, shops guided through dry seasons, bills met without begging, not by manipulation, not by magical thinking, but by a practiced turning, a disciplined inner consent to the one power. When the heart rests from pushing and listens, ideas arrive, doors unlatch, courage rises, and actions taken in peace carry provision with them. That is grace operating as law. Test this not in argument, but in practice. When the mind rushes to calculate and clench, stop. A breath, a turning, whisper, if you must, in the secret place. God's grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then wait not long, not strained until the inner nod appears. Move on that. You will find that supply flows from the invisible, and it only appears through changing channels. Today, a salary. Tomorrow, a commission. Next week, a referral you did not design. Next month, an idea that simplifies everything. The channels change so that you may learn they are not the source. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, not the kingdom of pressure, and all these things shall be added. Not snatched, not fought for, added. The cattle on 1,000 hills are not owned by the wage god. They belong to the one. Stand in that oneness. Smile at conditions. Bless the instruments. And abide in the power that never alternates, never runs short, never asks you to pay with fear for what grace has already given. Now we make a movement not with fanfare, but with a turning of the inner face from dependence on what can be measured to reliance on what can be felt. This is a transition of trust. We walk by faith, not by sight, not blindness, not denial. Faith, awareness of the invisible that is more substantial than figures on a page. He hangeth the earth on nothing, and you are asked to rest on that same nothing that is not nothing at all, but the something no hand can hold and no balance sheet can exhaust. Learn to lean where the world says there is no rail, and you will find the everlasting arms. Here is the practice. A bill arrives. The old hypnosis rushes to the door. The stomach tightens. The mind projects a dark cinema. What if? What then? What about? Stop. A breath. Be still and know that I am God. Refuse the first invitation to catastrophize. Withdraw your consent from the theater of doom. Turn within, not to get something, but to recognize what already governs. Say nothing if you can, or whisper if you must, Father, thou art here. Then do not argue, do not bargain, do not plead. Feel for the quiet warmth the slight easing behind the eyes, the loosening in the chest, the presence. It may be a flicker the first days, a glowing coal the next, and a steady flame in time. Wait for the inner nod. Out of that nod, take the next right step, not 10 steps, not a scheme, the next right step. Perhaps it is to call and arrange terms with courtesy instead of dread. Perhaps to send an honest invoice you have delayed through shame. Perhaps to cut an expense that no longer serves, without drama, without self-punishment. Perhaps to complete the piece of work already in your hand with all your heart, as unto the Lord. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Action from silence carries provision with it. You will discover that what you feared as a wall is a door when approached without fear. This is not magical thinking. We do not deny figures. We deny their power to govern us. We do not substitute wishing for wisdom. We let trust precede wisdom so that wisdom may speak. Keep your books clean. Keep your word. Finish your tasks. And in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Give us this day our daily bread, this day's guidance, this day's courage, this day's sufficiency. Let the channels be many. Let power be one. Practice the pivot at every small alarm. Pause, turn, listen, then move. Do this, and you will learn, not in theory, but in blood and breath, that paycheck trust was never security. Presence trust is. Now let us look at work with new eyes, not as a lever to pry life out of a reluctant world, but as the opening through which life that already is flows into form. We no longer work for a living. The living comes by grace. Let that be our confession. Then what is work? Expression and service. The Spirit pressing out through our hands, our minds, our speech, not to get but to give. And in the giving, to discover that supply was never a wage but a presence. We are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works. And those good works are not transactions to purchase safety. They are the natural fruit of abiding. Antithesis must be clear. Spiritual obedience first, then skilled execution, not clutching outcomes. Listen, then labor. Receive, then render. Labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for that meat which endureth unto everlasting life. I do not mean loafing. I do not mean sloppiness. Excellence remains, frenzy departs. We do what we do heartily as to the Lord, and not unto men. And because we do it unto the Lord, we refuse the terror that comes from assigning to the task the role of source. The Father within is the source. The task is a lamp. The oil is grace. Picture, if you will, Daniel at his bench, a carpenter whose rent once dictated his pulse. He listened this morning before he lifted a tool. He felt the inner nod, and then set his plane upon the cedar with a quiet that you could hear. He measured twice. He cut clean. He sanded until the grains sang. He called the client without performing need, spoke the truth of time and price without apology and without clench. The table left his shop like a prayer given shape, or Mara in triage, whose badge had become a burden. She paused in the supply closet and breathed the name. She stepped back to the hall, not as an exhausted employee trying to survive a shift, but as a transparency for calm. The same hands, the same chart, but another spirit moving through, and the corridor felt it. Work as avenue, grace as life. Outcomes? We release them. We plant, we water, we write, we ship, and then we let the harvest belong to the One. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but God that giveth the increase. Send the proposal and bless it as it goes. Close the laptop and refuse the midnight refreshing of metrics as if your existence hung there. Rest. He giveth his beloved sleep. You will find increase arriving in right measure, often by different doors than you had jimmied with worry. Identity must change with this. You are not your title. You are not your income. These are labels on a moving crate. The occupant is the presence that does the works. It is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Hold yourself there. Say within, I am the place where God shows himself as useful skill, as honest trade, as timely word. And then do the work. Keep your appointments. Keep your tools sharp. Keep your speech clean, without strain, without bargain. Let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands upon us. Work is an avenue for grace. Life is not earned there. Life is received, and from that receiving, the hands move rightly, and enough follows. Turn to spirit. Be still. Listen. Wait. Then act. Let that be the litany that frames your hours, not as poetry, but as practice. Be still and know that I am God. In quietness first, in movement second. Listening precedes action. Action from silence carries provision with it. Here is the rule. Simple enough to keep, strong enough to change a life. 3 times a day, morning, midday, evening. Give 2 or 3 minutes to inner stillness. Not long, not dramatic. Close the door if you can. Close the eyes if you will. Withdraw attention from numbers and narratives, from balances and headlines, from yesterday's praise and last night's dread. This is not visualization, not mental picture making. This is not positive slogans. This is silent receptivity to the one power. Say nothing if you can, or whisper within, Father, thou art here. And then feel for the quiet awareness that does not argue, a living presence that does not need your help. My sheep hear my voice. Do not strain to hear syllables. Sense the nod, the settledness, the inward yes, in the morning, before you meet the world's sprint. Sit those minutes and let the soul remember its source. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation. The kingdom of God is within you. At midday, when the engines of productivity are loudest, step aside for 2 minutes and lay the head upon that inner breast. Let the wind drop. In the evening, before the body seeks its bed, return once more. Give back to God the day's tools, and take from God the day's peace. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Between these anchors, build small cues into your work. Before you open the inbox, listen first. Before the sales call, the pitch, the price, listen first. Before you publish, send, reply, listen first. 10 seconds, 30, perhaps a minute. Turn inward and abide until you can feel that you are not pushing, you are consenting. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Then act. Make the call, write the line, walk into the room. And because you moved from peace, not pressure, the action will carry its own bread with it. Do not mistake this for delay or passivity. When the nod is given, obey it immediately and wholeheartedly. If no word comes, take the most honest next step and do it without clench. Fear will try to shout. Smile at it. Withdraw your consent. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. You are not buying outcomes with minutes of silence. You are remembering one power. And in that remembrance, wisdom orders your steps, courage steadies your hand, and provision accompanies the task as shadow follows form. Keep this drill faithfully for a week, then for a month, 3 brief turnings daily, and these small pauses before the thresholds of action. You will discover that ideas arrive unforced, timing improves without contrivance, and what you need meets you on the way, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Live thus, and watch the invisible add what effort could not purchase. Let me bear witness. A dry month came to one of our students, a man of honest craft. The projects that had looked so certain slowed to a crawl, 2 canceled in a single morning, 1 circling back into silence. The rent date stood on the calendar like a sentinel, and his stomach pinched as if it could pay the bill by tightening. You know this feeling. We have all rehearsed its drill. The mind leapt into the theater of terror. What if? What then? What about? Fear, 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 the familiar surge. Take no thought for your life, said the master. And yet the old habit reached for its idols. More emails, more pleading, more pressure. He stopped. He remembered, be still, and know that I am God. He sat. 2 minutes only, but honest minutes. He smiled, not at the landlord, not at the ledger, but at fear itself. Thou hast no power, he said within, not as a charm, but as a verdict. There is only one power. He did not bargain, did not outline a rescue plan for God. He listened. A first wave of argument rose. Send 10 messages right now, slash your price, hint at desperation. He waited, gently, until that noise spent itself. Then a quieter current appeared. Yes to one simple, honest note. Yes to one amends long avoided. Yes to one small, unobtrusive service he could offer without advertising. 3 yeses. No to panic. No to the scatter. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. He wrote the note, not a performance, not a plea, just the truth to the landlord. Work delayed, cash thin. Can I bring a partial on Friday with the balance within 10 days? He picked up the phone and made the amends to a former client he had wronged with a brusque reply weeks before. No excuses, only responsibility. Then he lifted the tool he knew best and offered 1 hour of help to a neighbor whose shelves leaned as if they were praying. No pitch, no card, simply service. Action from silence carries provision with it. Before dusk, an email arrived from a company that had owed him a small forgotten sum. Apologies for the delay processing now. It cleared that night. The landlord answered with a sentence that read like mercy. Partial is fine. Thank you for the clarity. On the porch, as the screws found their seat, the neighbor said, almost as an afterthought, I've been needing some weekend help at the shop. Are you free Saturday? Not a jackpot. Not spectacle. Enough light for the next step. Give us this day our daily bread. The greater gain was the quiet in his chest, the knowledge no longer hearsay, that supply did not come because he clutched, but because he listened and obeyed. Channels moved, the source did not. And when fear had no audience, sufficiency arrived by right means, on time, and without the taste of panic. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me, not because I chase them, but because I abide in the one that does the works. Let us come into the shop into the small conference room where the clock seems louder on payroll week. Receivables are late. 2 large invoices have gone to next cycle. The dashboard glows like a fever, aging balances, red flags, cash runway. Spreadsheets multiply anxieties. Projections tangle like vines. The old hypnosis begins its chorus. Call them all, push them all, slash prices, sell today at any cost, and explain later. Fear, fear, fear. But fear isn't a power. It is only a suggestion. There is only one power. The ledger is a record. It is not a God. Source is not a column of numbers. Source is the invisible that hangeth the earth on nothing, and that can steady a payroll without the taste of panic. Pause. 3 minutes. Close the door and the laptop. Be still and know that I am God. Not as a charm to force money through pipes, but as an act of governance, returning authority to the One. Cast thy burden upon the Lord. Say within, Father, thou art here in this business as thou art in my breath. Refuse the mass email from fear. Refuse the discount shouted from dread. Listen until the clench opens a notch and the inner knot appears. You are not idle. You are consenting to guidance. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Then the quiet instruction comes, not a scheme, but steps. Prune a wasteful spend without drama. Cancel the vanity ad that flatters but does not feed. Pause the redundant software that bills while you sleep. Not slash and burn, but clean and bless. Next, one call, not a pressure call, a service call. I noticed we delivered X last quarter. How is it serving you? Is there any defect we must make right? No pitch, no clutching. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Then, where conscience nudges, apologize. Make the amends you owe to the vendor you paid late, to the customer you left waiting, to the teammate you rushed past with a heavy tone. Let your yea be yea. This is commerce without clutching. This is service led by spirit. Results? They follow like fruit follows roots. A delayed payment clears because someone, somewhere, felt the peace in your honest call and moved your invoice from stack to send. A dormant account reactivates, not because you pushed, but because you served. Team calm replaces panic. Shoulders drop. Creativity returns. My peace I give unto you, and in that peace sufficiency arrives by right means. Payroll meets, not spectacle, not windfall, enough, and without the aftertaste of strain, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. In business, grace orders right action and right supply without clutching. Keep your books clean, your speech true, your promises tended. Seek first the kingdom awareness of one power, and let the channels be many. Smile at the ledger. Bless the customers. Honor the team. Withdraw authority from fear. Abide in the presence that does the works. And let your commerce be ministry service first, supply following, peace governing the house. For those under a badge or a contract, for those whose weeks are stitched together by bookings and shifts, the same law holds. Contracts change. Source does not. A layoff email lands at 9:12, subject line, spare, body colder than it means to be. Or the week opens and the bookings do not. The first reflex is fear. Let the first discipline be silence. Do not dash to reply. Do not run to every platform at once. Close the laptop if you can. Be still and know that I am God. Whisper within, as a verdict, not a plea. My employer is not my source. Grace is. There is only one power. Sit long enough for the clench to soften. Fear, fear, fear. Smile at it. It is universal mesmerism, not your master. Withdraw consent. Take no thought for your life. And I do not mean neglect. I mean no anxious thought. Then, from steadiness, act. Let action be obedience, not scramble. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. You will feel the inner nod toward simple, honest steps. Update your portfolio, not as a performance to purchase safety, but as a truth-telling, who you are, what you have rendered with care. Do it cleanly. Let the beauty of the work speak. Reach out to 3 people, not as a beggar, but as a servant. I have fresh capacity this month. Is there any defect I must make right? Any backlog I can quietly lift? No clutching, no covert pressure. A soft answer turneth away wrath, and a peaceful offer opens doors that wrestling keeps shut. And if a bridge assignment appears temporary, humble, not your ribboned ideal, take it without shame. Identity does not live in titles. The task is a channel. The source is one. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might, without apology and without clench. Then watch the fruits, not as fireworks, but as provision walking at the pace of peace. A manager from 2 roles ago remembers your steadiness and sends a 3-week contract. A message you wrote months back, sowed without urgency, ripens into an interview. A neighbor who has watched your faithfulness asks if you can take evenings for a specialized task you do easily. Expenses lighten too, in ways you could not have engineered. The clinic waives a fee with a quiet, don't worry about it. An auto repair that threatened to be ruinous resolves to a minor part. A subscription you forgot is credited back. Give us this day our daily bread, today's guidance, today's sufficiency. Not spectacle, not windfall, enough and dignity intact. Hold your speech clean. Let your yea be yea. Do not rehearse grievance. Bless the past channel and release it. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Keep to the listening drill. Before each threshold apply, then abide, interview, then release. If I hadn't witnessed this, I couldn't say it so calmly. But I have seen the badge turned in without the soul turning dark, and within days the next right door appearing. Contracts change. The channel shifts. The source does not. Abide in the one power, and let the works follow. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me, not because I chase them, but because I walk in the presence that does the works. Now we come to the door where many hearts stumble, the moment of price, the speaking of value, the exchange. Do not enter that room without first entering the inner room. Set rates and requests after silence, free of greed and free of guilt. Greed is fear wearing a fat suit. Guilt is fear wearing a hair shirt. Both are mesmerism. Neither is a power. Be still and know that I am God. Let the number rise in a quiet heart, not pushed up by grasping, not pressed down by unworthiness. God's grace is thy sufficiency, and in that sufficiency there is a just weight, not a false balance. Then say the number as you would say your own name, steady, unhurried, without apology. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. We need the sword of the Spirit, not the hard sell. Clarity, not coercion. Peace, not pressure. The hard cell shouts. The spirit speaks and stands. When you present a fee, let your tone carry the kingdom, not anxiety. Here is the scope as I understand it. The fee for this work is X. Let us see what is right. That sentence belongs to peace. It invites truth. It does not bargain with dread. Ask the questions that serve reality. What outcome truly matters here? What time frame honors the work? What constraints must we respect? Light clarifies, pressure obscures. Discernment will be given if you will wait for the nod. There are hours to hold your price. You will feel it, a clean, quiet yes that does not stiffen. The price is not a dare. It is obedience. When asked to shave it from fear, you can smile and say, the fee that serves this scope is X. I can begin as soon as you're ready. No drama, no defense. There are hours to bless a reduced fee. You will feel that to an ease that is love, not people-pleasing. Freely ye have received, freely give, and if spirit moves, you may offer within a narrower scope. I can gladly serve at Y this month, clearly framed, so resentment never cedes. It is a gift, not a bargain with terror. And there are hours to say no. If peace withdraws, if the terms unseat integrity, if the inner witness says, not this, not now, then bow to it. My peace I give unto you. And that includes the courage to decline. I may not be the right fit for this need. Let me point you to another channel. You will find that peace persuades without pressure. Agreements made from quiet endure. The work proceeds without the grit of grievance. Invoices are honored because the terms were honest. Both giver and receiver are nourished. Good measure, pressed down, and shaken together does not arrive by hustle, but by right measure spoken in love. Go into every money conversation as you go into prayer. Turn, listen, speak from presence, and then rest. The outcome belongs to God. The clarity belongs to you. When the sword of the Spirit has cut away fear, what remains is right exchange, sustainable and clean, and sufficiency follows the path peace has marked. Now, some will say, isn't this passive? No, this is not drift. This is discipline. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the Spirit. We begin in silence to relocate causation, but we do not end there. Listening is not loitering. It is the consent that assigns authority to one power, and then it is obedience. When the nod is given, we rise and move the next right inch. Faith without works is dead. But hear this also. Works without faith are frenzy. We are not advocating idleness. We are ending idolatry. We trade strain for stewardship. We trade panic for precise action born of presence. What about debt? Not denial, not shame. Sit first, be still, and know that I am God. Then pick up the phone in the light of that knowing and tell the truth without adornment. Ask for humane terms. Offer a plan you can keep. You will find again and again that when fear is removed from the line, compassion appears in the voice on the other end. Reduce what is waste without self-punishment. Keep your promises with clean yeses and no covert maybes. Owe no man anything but to love one another is not a whip. It is a way to walk in integrity as you unwind the tangle. Pay steadily, humbly, in peace. Action from silence carries provision with it. And what if nothing happens? We are not clocking God. We are cultivating consciousness. Results ripen by order, not tantrum. First the blade, then the ear, then the full corn in the ear. Many times, something has already happened. Courage has returned. A wise idea has landed. An expense has vanished. A door has closed that needed closing. And because it did not clang like miracle, you missed it. Keep the drill. 3 turnings daily. Listen before thresholds. Act when nodded. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. This is practice, not magic. Awareness first, then form. If you will persevere past the first week of watching the mailbox, you will find that sufficiency arrives as a path, not a parade. Is this about getting rich? No. This is not a scheme to decorate fear with gold. This is freedom from fear and the steady experience of enough. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not amassed to prove a point, not hoarded to appease a terror, but supplied in right measure, at right time, by right means. God's grace is our sufficiency in all things. The signs following are peace in decisions, clean commerce, honest provision, generosity that does not deplete. If I hadn't watched this for years in sick rooms and boardrooms, in kitchens and shop floors, I wouldn't speak so calmly, but I have. The fruit is not spectacle. It is sanity. If you must, put it on an if basis. I am content with that. If grace is sufficiency, it will prove itself in your very affairs without your pushing and without your neglect, in ways that leave no bitter aftertaste. Prove it silently. Do not argue for it. Do not advertise it. Turn, listen, obey the inner nod, and let the signs be the teacher. Prove me now herewith, says the ancient word. And if it is so, you will know it by the quiet arrival of enough and the disappearance of fear's authority. There is only one power. Abide there and let the rest be added. When the surge comes, and it will come, for fear grips the world, do not take its mask for your face. Name it rightly and its spell is broken. This is not your private terror. It is a universal hypnotism, pressing upon all flesh, claiming authority where it has none. Recognize it, and then withdraw consent. Say within, calmly and without dramatics, there is only one power. Fear is not a power. God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. You are not wrestling with a dragon. You are waking from a dream. Make the conscious transition in that very moment from the visible wave of adrenaline to the invisible presence that does the works. Be still and know that I am God. Now the protocol. Smile, yes. Actually let the corners of the mouth soften. It is your embodied way of saying, thou hast no power. Breathe slow and low. A count in, a longer count out. Release the shoulders. Let them fall like tents after a festival. Place the feet squarely on the ground. This is not psychology. This is priestly work in your own temple, returning governance to spirit. Repeat within, without rush, without hostility. Thou hast no power. Not shouted, not challenged, simply spoken as a verdict. Fear, fear, fear. You are nothing claiming to be something. There is only one. Turn inward. Father, thou art here. Perfect love casteth out fear. Wait until a measurable softening arrives, perhaps a single notch, perhaps a full uncoiling. Even that small yielding is your Red Sea beginning to part. Then sanctify the delay. Before you send that frantic email, before you slash the price or post the compromise disguised as strategy, set a 15-minute watch. Honor it. This is not procrastination. This is protection. In those minutes, substitute 1 minute of silence for 3 minutes of doom scrolling. Close the screen. Open the inner room. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. If the body wants to pace, let the feet walk slowly while the heart stays in the sanctuary. Whisper, "In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength," and give consent only to the nod that comes from peace. You will find that in the space purchased by those minutes, wisdom speaks. The email that would have bled credibility becomes a clean, brief note that tells the truth and keeps dignity intact. Or it becomes a phone call at the right hour to the right person for the right reason. The impulse to have your price from panic yields to a clear articulation of scope and value, or to the insight to bless a narrower offering without self-betrayal. A new channel appears, a referral, a delayed payment released, an idea that had been waiting on your stillness. He leadeth me beside the still waters, and from those waters provision flows by right means. Remember this in the heat. Fear has no power but the power we lend it. Withdraw the loan. Give that power back to God. In the smile, in the breath, in the loosened shoulders, in the 1 minute of holy quiet, room is made for the one power to order your steps. Then act, and let supply follow the path peace has cleared. Grace does not stop at the border of your skin. Presence felt within becomes presence expressed without, and it is contagious. Ye are the light of the world. Light does not argue. It reveals. As you abide in grace, those near you are steadied by a law they do not yet name. This is not persuasion, not technique. It is atmosphere. Consciousness precedes commerce. When fear is withdrawn in one heart, its borrowed authority begins to drain from the room. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. Gather first in awareness. The forms will follow. Let your giving be guided, not guilty. Freely ye have received, freely give. Not as a tax on grace, there is no toll road to God, but as obedience to the inner nudge. Give time with spirit points. A patient hour to proof a colleague's proposal so truth shines without gloss. Give introductions when the nod says yes. Place 2 good workers in each other's path and step back. Give skill where it will heal a defect. Fix the draft, mend the process, teach the tool. And yes, give money when led quietly, cleanly, without theater. Sometimes a grocery cart on a doorstep, sometimes settling a small bill another cannot carry this week. Not rescue as control, not enabling as superiority. Love's simple logistics at the hour appointed. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Observe the circulation. What goes forth in peace returns in kind. He that scattereth increaseth. He that withholdeth more than is meet tendeth to poverty, not because of cosmic bookkeeping, but because fear's tight fist strangles the very channel it thinks it protects. Loosen the hand under the governance of one power, and channels multiply. Referrals appear because you bless the colleague's success without clutching. Help arrives unasked because you made it your habit to help when asked. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, is not hustle's harvest. It is grace's return path. A word for teams under quotas. Monday, the numbers glare. A manager's voice tightens. Metrics loom like gods. One person, only one, keeps the listening drill. Before the stand-up, stillness. During the meeting, a soft, grounded tone that refuses to amplify alarm. They ask service-aim questions. Which customers have defects we must make right today? Where can we simplify the offer without self-betrayal? They apologize cleanly for last week's dropped handoff. They draft a quiet script anchored in truth, not pressure. And the atmosphere changes. Shoulders drop. The manager's cadence softens. Calls become conversations. Right fits rise. Misfits release without resentment. Not every deal closes. Enough does. Targets are met without the grit of fear. If I hadn't witnessed this in shops and sales floors, I couldn't say it so calmly. One lamp lit in God's peace can steady a room. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. No formulas here. No superstition. Do not turn giving into a lever, nor peace into a ploy. There is only one power. Listen. Obey the nudge. Let love circulate as wisdom directs. As you release fear, channels open not just for you, but for all within your reach. And grace, which is no respecter of persons, moves through the community as through a single willing heart. Let us prove this, not with argument, but with days on a calendar. For 30 days, quietly, without announcement, keep a rule, not to coax the infinite, but to align with it. Prove me now herewith, says the ancient word, not as a dare, but as a doorway. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the Spirit. If grace is sufficiency, it will show itself under the ordinary weight of your mornings, middays, and nights. Morning. Before the phone, before the inbox, before you look outward, sit 3 minutes in stillness. Set a timer so the mind does not haggle. Sit, breathe, smile only a trace to say within, thou hast no power, fear. Then declare, aloud if you can, there is only one power. Thy grace is my sufficiency. Do not decorate it. Say it and be quiet. Give us this day our daily bread, today's guidance, today's courage, today's enough. In the last 30 seconds, ask for one inner assignment for the day, a call to make, an amends to offer, a simplification to enact, a service to render. Write it on a small card. Carry it. Obey it before you do 3 lesser things, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. Midday, before any money-related action, pricing, invoicing, asking, accepting, spending, pause, 10 breaths, slow, place the feet, release the shoulders, withdraw consent from fear, whisper, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord. Listen until peace leads. If peace does not come, do not push the button. Wait or narrow the scope until peace appears. If peace comes, act cleanly. Speak the number without tremor, tell the truth without varnish, bless a reduction if led, decline if integrity withdraws. Action from silence carries provision with it. Evening, 2 minutes to review. No scolding. Note where sufficiency appeared, an invoice cleared, an expense lifted, a right word given, a door closed that saved you. Note where fear borrowed your hand. Write it once and bless it. Tomorrow is new. Ask, what is the next inner instruction? Write it for morning. Close with, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Sleep under that government. Weekly, set apart one Sabbath hour, tech free, read a psalm, a gospel, saying, He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, and then sit. Smile at any rising fear and say, Thou hast no power. Let the mind unclench around outcomes. If led, set aside a quiet gift or service for the week. Freely ye have received, freely give. Your metrics are not totals in the ledger. Your metrics are peace felt, right actions taken, sufficiency observed on day 7, 14, 21, 30. Mark 3 lines. How much peace today? What right actions did I take from silence? Where did sufficiency arrive by right means? Do not trumpet. Notice, if after 30 days you find no fruit, set it aside. But if even a mustard seed of peace has grown, continue. Consistency reveals grace as practical sufficiency. There is only one power. Abide, and let the signs follow. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Beloved, let this be our closing certainty. Your job is not your source. The one power is. There is only one power. Channels are many, but source is one. God's grace is our sufficiency in all things. He hangeth the earth on nothing, and he holds you with the same invisible governance. Receive now the blessing. The presence of the gentle Christ is sufficient to calm the storms of lack and fear. As on the Galilean Sea, so in your ledger and your kitchen, the word still speaks, peace, be still, and the wind and the waves know their master. Here is the charge, simple and complete. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the Spirit, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Refuse the wage god that demands strain and pays with worry. Consent instead to the grace that guides and provides. Work you shall cleanly, honestly, in love, but not to earn life, rather to let life flow. Seek first the kingdom, the felt awareness of one power, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not wrestled for. Given, not grabbed. As you walk this way, you will notice it. Channels appear and disappear, but sufficiency abides. A project closes and another opens. A door you wished would stay, ajar swings shut, and by that very closing spares you from a misfit. Daily bread finds your table sometimes as courage to say no, sometimes as a fee spoken in peace, sometimes as an expense lifted without your asking. My grace is sufficient for thee, and you will learn to recognize sufficiency not by noise, but by the quiet arrival of enough. Depart in peace. Smile at conditions. When fear rises, say within, Thou hast no power. There is only one. Let the shoulders fall. Let the breath lengthen. Let the mind return to the inner room. Then take the next faithful step, and only the next. Let your yea be yea, your no be clean, your hands steady. Let grace do the heavy lifting. You do the listening and the loving. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. The shepherd goes before you. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow you, not because you chase them, but because you abide in the presence that does the works. So I bless you. May the gentle Christ keep your heart restful and your hands ready. May the one power be your only reliance and your instant help. May fear find no borrowing in you. Go now live through the Spirit. Turn to the Spirit. React only to the Spirit and watch as life unearned and overflowing finds you in the stillness and supply follows.